Welcome back to Cheddar's Opening Bell. Markets coming off of yesterday's report showing more than 16 million Americans have lost their jobs just in the last 3 weeks. Joining us now is Ted Oakley. He's the managing partner and founder of Oxbow Advisors. Ted, it is great to see you this morning. It's always good to have you on the show. Look, yesterday marked the end of a good week for the U.S. indices. Markets having their best week, the S&P 500 that is, since 1974. This coming despite one of the worst weekly jobless claims that we have ever seen in this country. Please explain the disconnect here.
Well, I think the big disconnect on it, Tim, is that if you look at the shorts coming into Monday, they knew the numbers were going to get worse and worse, and probably still think they're going to get worse and worse. We had a lot of shorts locked up in this market, I think. I mean, I saw that because I know the shorts in a number of the companies we own. And so when you brought that bad news out, and all of a sudden it turned into good news, i.e. the virus got better, the Fed came to the rescue, that sort of thing. Not only did you have individual investors second guessing themselves, but you also had shorts covering, and then that's what caused what I consider to be about half short squeeze and about half people thinking they're going to miss out.
Okay, so what does that mean for where we are in terms of the bottom, Ted? Bottom we saw in the March 20s, March 23rd. Is this a dead cat bounce, or are we off of the lows?
Tim, I've been through a lot of bear markets and some really bad ones. And what happens, I've never had a bear market, and really historically, I've never even seen one. I've looked back before that even, where you just hit a low and you take off and you never come back. It doesn't happen. Particularly when you look at the Dow being down 40 almost and the S&P down 33, 34. Yeah, you get a sort of a crackback rally out of it. And you don't necessarily have to go back to a low, but you could go back to, the low we had before, but you could go back to something close, or you could actually make a lower low depending on what happens from here. But typically, the first money in, they'll make a quick buck. But these things take a long time to run out over time. If you look at the 2000 to 2003 bear market, there were 7 rallies. They were more than 20%. And every time we had one of those, people thought, this is it. We're on. We're ready to go. And it didn't happen that way.
Right. Look, obviously, you can't look into a crystal ball, Ted, but how much lower do we have the potential to go? And look, the economic news that we're getting is absolutely devastating right now. Millions of Americans filed for unemployment claims just in the last 3 weeks. That number expected to be higher because these cities and states cannot process the number of people who are actually looking to file right now. So how long is this recession going to last? And do you think it's actually going to be a depression?
I think it will have depression type feelings to it, because if you have a couple of months where, Tim, and you have, let's say, unemployment is 20, 25 million people, that's a depression for all purposes we're talking about today. You could call it a really severe, but it's really not. I mean, that's where you have nobody working in the service business. And then you usually, whatever that does, that goes into a recession, and then that goes into a recovery. The problem here is that you ask on the number of what happens. My guess is your downside is probably somewhere between 10 and 20% from here. You'll either go back down close to the low, maybe within 5 or 10% of it, or you could go to a new low. A lot of it depends on how people see the course of the next month or so. And however, I'd want things to get back to normal. Don't get me wrong, but I think they're really underestimating the devastation to the economy right now with everything that's happened in the past 2 months.
Yeah, Ted Oakley, managing partner and founder of Oxbow Advisors. Ted, I want things to get back to normal as soon as possible. Please have a good weekend, stay safe and stay healthy. And thanks for taking the time this morning with us. We appreciate it.